What if I told you the richest guy in an entire building wasn't the CEO, wasn't the owner, wasn't even the big boss in a fancy office? Instead, it was the janitor. Yeah, the dude with a mop, a bucket, and the keys to every room. Sounds insane, right? But stick with me, because this story is about to blow your mind. See, most people ignore janitors. They walk past them without a second thought. But this janitor, he was hiding the wildest secret you could imagine. By day, he scrubbed floors and emptied trash bins. But by night, he was living a double life that would make millionaires jealous. This isn't some random rags to riches fairy tale. This is real. And the craziest part, he wasn't even doing it for himself. He had a bigger plan, a bigger purpose, and that's what made him unstoppable. Imagine working next to someone every single day, never realizing they were richer than everyone in the building combined. No flashy clothes, no expensive watches, no luxury cars. Just a humble guy with a broom and a bank account that could buy the whole place. And when people finally discovered his secret, the entire world was shocked. This is the unbelievable story of the rich janitor, a man who proved you don't need to wear a suit or sit in a corner office to change the game. Are you ready? Because once you hear this story, you'll never look at ordinary people the same way again. So, how does a janitor, someone everyone assumes is just scraping by, end up becoming richer than the people he cleans up after? The answer isn't luck, and it's not magic. It's about something way bigger: mindset, opportunity, and the guts to take action when nobody else even notices the chance. Think about it. Every single day, the janitor walked through the same building as million-dollar executives, top managers, and wealthy employees. He overheard conversations, he saw trends, and he picked up little secrets others threw away without thinking. Where most people saw garbage, he saw gold. And here's where it gets crazy. Instead of complaining about his job or wishing for a miracle, he started piecing together a plan. Every paycheck, no matter how small, wasn't wasted, it was an investment. Every idea, no matter how random, wasn't ignored, it was tested. And every opportunity that others missed, he grabbed and flipped into something bigger. Most people would have ignored him. But this guy was playing a completely different game. And the most shocking part, he never bragged. He never flexed. He just quietly built an empire while sweeping the hallways at night. That's what makes this story so wild. It's not about where you start, it's about how you see the world around you. Now, buckle up, because we're about to break down how exactly this janitor went from scrubbing floors to stacking millions. Our story starts with a guy named Daniel. He wasn't born into money, he didn't have a college degree, and he definitely didn't have connections. All he had was a mop, a paycheck that barely covered rent, and a dream he kept locked deep inside. Every morning, Daniel would clock in before sunrise. He'd clean the offices, empty the trash, polish the floors, jobs most people would consider invisible. But while his hands worked, his mind was racing. He wasn't just cleaning, he was observing. See, being a janitor gave Daniel access nobody else had. He heard business executives on late-night calls, saw financial reports left on desks, and even noticed trends in what companies were investing in. Most people would have overlooked these details. But Daniel, he treated the entire building like a free education. And here's the twist. Instead of wasting his paycheck on quick thrills, Daniel saved every single dollar he could. While others spent money on new shoes or flashy gadgets, he stacked his cash, little by little, waiting for the perfect chance. People laughed at him. A janitor with big dreams? Yeah, right. But Daniel never cared. He knew the game he was playing. He wasn't working for today, he was building for tomorrow, and soon, the world would find out just how dangerous an underestimated janitor could be. Daniel's secret weapon wasn't just saving money, it was using it smartly. One night, while cleaning an office, he overheard two executives talking about a new company launching tech products. Most people would have ignored it. But Daniel, he went home, did his research, and realized this was his chance. He took a huge risk. With his entire savings, every dollar he had, Daniel bought shares in that company. To outsiders, it looked insane. Why would a janitor throw his money into something he doesn't even understand? But Daniel did understand. He'd been listening, learning, and connecting the dots for years. At first, nothing happened. Weeks passed. Months passed. Daniel still scrubbed toilets and pushed his mop. But behind the scenes, his investment was quietly growing. Then, boom, the company exploded in value. Suddenly, his small savings had multiplied into something massive. This was the turning point. Daniel realized he didn't need a high-paying job to build wealth. He just needed knowledge, patience, and bold action, but instead of cashing out and bragging, he kept quiet. He went to work the next day just like always, in the same uniform, carrying the same mop. Nobody suspected a thing. What they didn't know was that the janitor pushing the cart down the hallway was now sitting on life-changing money, and this was just the beginning. Daniel's life completely changed after that first big win. But instead of quitting his janitor job and running off to live like a millionaire, he made a shocking choice. He stayed. Why? Because his job wasn't just work. It was his secret advantage. Every night while cleaning, he got free access to a world most people could only dream of. He overheard market trends, saw startup pitches left on desks, and picked up financial magazines thrown into recycling bins. This wasn't trash to Daniel, it was priceless information. During the day, he was the quiet janitor pushing a cart. At night, he was building an empire, researching stocks, investing in real estate, and learning how businesses grew from the inside out. He became a shadow investor, moving in silence while everyone else overlooked him. The craziest part, his co-workers still treated him like just the janitor. They had no idea the guy cleaning their office was now earning more from investments than they made in a year. Daniel loved it. He didn't want recognition, he wanted freedom, and freedom was exactly what he was creating. His portfolio kept growing, his real estate properties multiplied, and his bank accounts skyrocketed. Yet, every morning, he showed up with his mop in hand, smiling, blending in, while secretly living a double life no one could even imagine. But eventually, his secret wouldn't stay hidden forever. For years, Daniel managed to keep his fortune under wraps. But one day, everything changed. It started when a new employee noticed Daniel reading financial newspapers during his lunch break. Curious, the employee joked, "What's a janitor doing with stock reports?" Daniel just smiled and shrugged it off. But whispers spread. People started noticing little things. How Daniel always seemed calm during financial crashes, how he gave surprisingly smart advice when someone complained about money, and how he never seemed worried about his paycheck. Then came the big reveal. A charity event was being hosted in the same building Daniel worked in, and the organizers were struggling to raise funds. Quietly, Daniel stepped forward and made a donation so massive, the entire room went silent. Nobody could believe it. The janitor had just given more money than the executives combined. At first, people thought it was a prank. But when the numbers checked out, jaws dropped. Overnight, Daniel went from the guy with a mop to the millionaire janitor. Reporters swarmed, co-workers were stunned, and the internet exploded with his story. But Daniel, he didn't care about fame. He explained that his wealth wasn't about showing off, it was about proving that anyone, no matter where they start, can change their future with discipline, knowledge, and courage. And just when people thought the story couldn't get any crazier, Daniel revealed what he planned to do with his fortune.
32,000. Well, the viewers have a number right here. We have no idea.
When Daniel finally opened up about his wealth, everyone expected him to buy mansions, luxury cars, or maybe retire on a private island. But nope, that wasn't his style. Instead, Daniel shocked the world once again with what he decided to do next. He used his fortune to build schools, fund scholarships, and invest in community projects that changed lives. The janitor who once struggled to pay rent was now giving kids opportunities he never had. He didn't see money as a tool for flexing, he saw it as a weapon for impact. Daniel created housing projects for struggling families, donated to hospitals, and even started programs teaching financial literacy so others could learn the skills he picked up while pushing a mop. He believed wealth wasn't meant to be hoarded, it was meant to be shared. Soon, Daniel wasn't just known as the rich janitor. He became a legend. His story spread worldwide, inspiring millions of people to stop underestimating themselves and start thinking bigger. And through it all, he remained humble. He never forgot where he came from. Even when people begged him to quit his janitor job, Daniel would still show up from time to time, mop in hand, reminding everyone that greatness doesn't come from the uniform you wear, it comes from the mindset you carry. Daniel didn't just build wealth, he built a legacy. And that is the unbelievable story of Daniel, the janitor who shocked the world. Think about it, this man started with nothing but a mop, a bucket, and the willingness to work hard. No fancy degree, no millionaire parents, no handouts, just grit, discipline, and the mindset to see opportunities where others saw nothing. Daniel's story proves something huge. You don't need to look rich to become rich. You don't need to start at the top to end up there. And you definitely don't need everyone's approval to chase your dream. Sometimes, the smartest players in the game are the ones no one even notices. And the best part, Daniel didn't just stack money for himself. He flipped his fortune into a mission, helping others rise, changing communities, and inspiring millions across the globe. That's the real definition of success. Not the cars, not the watches, not the flexing, but the impact. So here's the challenge for you. Next time you feel stuck, overlooked, or underestimated, remember the rich janitor. Remember that your current situation doesn't define your future, it only tests your mindset. If Daniel could turn pocket change into an empire while scrubbing floors, imagine what you can do with the tools you already have. Because at the end of the day, success isn't about where you start, it's about how far you're willing to go. So, what's your move?